How's it going out there, guys? Cyberneticshark here with another new movie review for you. So let's get right into this review and see what I saw. So a couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of checking out an all-new Disney movie, a live-action film remake of a great Disney classic that came out back in 1941. Now, this is a live imagination of this awesome cartoon film already, and you got to go in with a open mind to this film, because if you were expecting it to be quote unquote exactly like the original film, then you're going to be disappointed. Now, the movie I'm talking about happens to be, like I said, an awesome live action adaptation of the original classic, like I said, from 1941, called Dumbo. Oh yeah, Dumbo, with Timothy the Mouse and Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Oh yeah. So this awesome film I thought was really well done. It was directed very well. It was really interesting, and I like where they took it and gave it kind of a new type of flair. Now, like I was saying before, if you were going in to see this and you thought that it was going to be a exact copy like of the original Dumbo cartoon, you're in for a world of hate, actually, unfortunately. It is not exactly like that. They took it in a new direction, but kept some of the similar things that were in the original cartoon, and just, embellished on it and made it a little more interesting for, today's audiences. Now, this film happens to be directed by an awesome director who I absolutely love pretty much everything he does. He's made so many great films. He's directed Frankenweenie. He directed Sweeney Todd. He directed, a slew of films over the years. The first two Batman films with Michael Keaton. And that, of course, is Mr. Tim Burton. Now, Tim Burton, like I said, you might recognize from those few films I was talking about earlier. You might recognize him from a lot of his films. Usually has Helena Bohemian Carter in them. You might recognize Johnny Depp in a lot of his films, too. And just, a lot of great, very well distinct type of filmmaking. And he always makes really good films, I feel. When it comes to directing Dumbo, though, I thought he did a really fantastic job and gave us this great new imagination with it. Kind of like what he did with Frankenweenie as well, because he actually directed the original little short and then ended up making a full CGI type of full-length film a couple years ago, which was really well done and really cool. Now, a couple of films I really enjoyed that he has directed are none other than an awesome film that came out in 1990 and starred Johnny Depp. That also had Winona Ryder in it and was Vincent Price's last on-screen appearance before he passed away. And that, of course, is the awesome film Edward Scissorhands. Oh, yeah. I actually haven't seen this in a really long time, but it's such a great film. I just thought Tim Burton directed a really cool kind of concept of this, basically like this creature that was created, almost like Frankenstein's monster, that has these hands for scissors. That lives in this reclusive castle with this gentleman and then ends up, unfortunately, having to be taken care of by somebody else because his original master dies, basically. And I just thought Tim brought a lot of great, interesting aspects to that film. Gave us kind of a new, fresh take on the Frankenstein story, and also just gave us this kind of like the beginning to Johnny Depp, him becoming such a great super, star. And that was kind of, I feel, his big breakdown to the big screen, really, showing that he had great acting chops and was just a really awesome actor. And I love the look that Tim Burton used in that film, too, as well. He just made it very interesting looking, that nice dark element colors to it, and just that kind of cartoony look, which I think he always brings very well to films. Great example is of Ed Wood, the film that he directed and made such an amazing film, and had a lot of great, cool undertones to the film. Now, the other film that Tim Burton directed that I think is a really fun film, it was hated by the critics, but I thought it was a great and awesome adaptation of a great 1970s vampire drama show. And that, of course, is the awesome film, also starring Johnny Depp, Dark Shadows. Oh, yeah. I really thought Dark Shadows was a great film. I really enjoyed it. I love the characteristics to the film. I love that it left a lot to the imagination. I love the CGI work in the film. I thought it was just a really well done adaptation of the original, series that was on TV back in the 70s about Barnabas Jones and stuff like that. And I just thought it was really funny too and really hilarious. And I loved all the different actors that were involved in the film, and just they brought a great and awesome presence to the film as well. And I just thought Tim did a really great job of directing it and making a really fun film. I mean, it wasn't going to win any awards or anything like that, and so I hate when critics, go in and are so itsy bitsy about, oh, this is stupid, this this is not, it's like not every movie is made to be an Oscar winner. So this is what that film was, and what I feel that the film is supposed to be. It's supposed to be just a fun film that people are supposed to enjoy, and I think that's what Tim Burton did with this. Now, like I was saying before, like I said, I thought Tim Burton did a great job with Dumbo and made a great film. I love his adaptation of the film. I thought that he did a really great job. I like where he took it. I love the references that they brought to the film that were, from the original film. And I just thought that he did a really great job of bringing to life, something that, is so, so loved by so many generations. And took it in a totally different direction and gave us, kind of a new take on it. And trying to not make it just a repeat copy of an original film. Because, Jungle Book was kind of similar to that, where, it did a lot better and was considered a lot greater film because it was pretty much almost an exact copy of the original film. Unlike Dumbo, which I think that's probably why a lot of people didn't, the critics didn't care for it, because it wasn't really a copy of a copy. And I thought Tim did a really good job of giving us something different and giving us this whole new take on Dumbo. And I thought everyone that was in it was really good and fun and made a really fantastic job. Now, this film has a really great cast, and you'll see that there's one actor or actress, I should say, that is a repeat offender in Tim Burton films that's involved in this film. And just a really fun cast, too. A couple newcomers that were really good in the film, and several veterans that are just really fun to watch and always enjoy seeing in any type of film that they're in. Now, to start off this awesome cast, we have none other than pretty much the main character in the film besides Dumbo. And that, of course, is Mr. Colin Farrell. Now, Colin Farrell plays a character in the film, basically he's the father of these two kids that are at the circus where Dumbo is born and learns that he can fly with his ears, basically. And he plays this battle-worn veteran, because the movie's supposed to take place back in the early 1900s around World War One. And this film, I thought, just his performance in the film was really awesome, really well done. And I really enjoyed his take on it and his accent, that he kind of had this southern accent in the film. And I thought that was kind of interesting because he has such a distinct Irish accent, because that's, where he's really from. And so I thought he did a pretty decent job of bringing, the southern accent and making it, sound pretty accurate and pretty realistic. And I thought that was really cool. And I just thought that he was really just fun to see in the film, too. I really liked his interactions with everyone and how he brought kind of this new, different character to the film that wasn't a part of the original cartoon film. Now, a couple films I really love Colin Farrell in are none other than an awesome film that came out in 2002 that's a thriller type of film, and just is a really awesome film, and I absolutely loved it. I saw it in theaters back in 2002 and just thought this was a spectacular film. And that, of course, is the film Phone Booth. Oh, yeah. So Phone Booth, if you're not familiar with, like I said, is a thriller film where basically Colin Farrell is in this phone booth the whole film, talking to this person that's up in one of the buildings and is like a sniper guy, and trying to get Colin Farrell to do these things, basically, and to follow this guy's demands. And I just thought it was a really fantastic film and really enjoyed him in it, and thought this was a really great performance by him. And it was also one of his, first films that he did, before he kind of became really big, and this was kind of an introduction to him, and it was fun to see him kind of grow, and kind of how, he started out acting, how he's kind of ventured and changed in his acting, and this movie really showed that he has a really great acting chops, and just how fun of a, actor he can be, and I thought he just did a really awesome job in it. Really enjoyed him in it. I thought he was really fantastic with everyone involved, including his, basically having to deal with Forrest Whitaker's character in the film, too. Just their interaction was really awesome, too. Now, another film I really enjoyed him and thought he was really fun in, and that another one that I feel that doesn't get enough credit for how good of a film it was. It's a great film from 2003 starring Al Pacino called The Recruit. Oh yeah, The Recruit. This awesome film is basically like an action thriller drama type of film that has to do with cops and stuff like that. And I thought Colin was just really awesome in it. I really enjoyed his character. I loved his acting with Al Pacino, just where the story went. And I just thought it was a really fantastic film and great acting performance by Colin. And I just think once again it showed in at his earlier acting career how good of an actor he was, and that he had a lot more to show and a lot of great potential. And I just thought he was really awesome in it too. I love a lot of the action sequences he was involved with, and just his performance having to stand against Al Pacino's great acting abilities, and I thought that he lived up to it and stayed as high as Al Pacino was in the film. Really fun film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, people. It's worth a watch. The Recruit, really fun film. Next on this awesome cast of Dumbo, the 2019 adaptation, is a really fun actor. I absolutely love him. He kind of died out for a while and then kind of had a resurgence and has been a ton of films over the last 5 years. And is just a really awesome actor. I absolutely loved everything he's been in, from Multiplicity to the first two Batmans, to One Good Cop, and etc., etc. Lots of things that he's been in. He's just a really awesome actor. And that, of course, is Mr. Michael Keaton. Now, Michael Keaton, like I said, you might recognize from those films. You might recognize him from, a few films in recent years that has gotten him, praise. You might recognize him from Post Grad, which was a really fun film. But a couple of films I really enjoyed him and thought he was fantastic in was none other than an awesome film that he was nominated for Academy back in 2014. And that, of course, is the film Birdman. Oh, yeah. Absolutely love this film. It's such a great dark comedy drama film. Great cast, great direction. Totally deserved the Best Picture nom and win, and for Best Director too at the same time. This was just a really great performance by Michael, and I thought he did such an amazing job, especially from where he was kind of like nobody really had seen him anything recently, and then all of a sudden he made this performance, and it was just like boom, his career's back. And he really showed that he still has great, amazing acting chops, and he was so fantastic in it. I loved his whole performance, everything about it. Really great film if you haven't seen it. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Birdman, such an amazing film. Really well directed and great performance by Michael Keaton. Another great film that I really enjoyed Michael Keaton and thought he was fantastic in was none other than an awesome 1989 film directed by Tim Burton. That is just a really great adaptation of a DC comic character that was so well known from the 60s with Adam West played the character, but Michael Keaton really put Batman back on the map and gave us this whole new generation of Batman lovers. And that, of course, is the awesome 1989 film Batman. Oh, yeah. Batman. So this great, adaptation, of course, had the Joker in it as its main villain in the film. And Michael Keaton dons the cape of Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman. And I just thought he was so fantastic as Batman. I loved his darkness to it. I loved how he brought to life Bruce Wayne and made it so different from Adam West's character, which was a lot more comical, which is, was great. I absolutely loved Adam West as Batman too. But it was nice seeing, it got a very darker sense to the character and was a lot more realistic to what the comic books were, at the time, and how this is a very dark character from what he's doing. He's a vigilante, what he's doing. And I just thought that Michael Keaton did a great job of portraying Batman, and gave us this whole new awesome look at who Batman is and what he's about. Really great film, really great performance by Michael in that film, and it was fantastic to see him in it. And it would be great to see him play Batman again. That would be awesome if he could. That would be really cool. But when it comes to his character in Dumbo, I absolutely loved him as the main bad guy character in the film. I thought he was so fantastic. I loved his look, how he presented himself. Just every scene he was in, it was so fantastic and fun. I just really enjoyed his character and just thought he did a really fantastic job. And, you know, it was great to see him in another Tim Burton film, too, as well. Really awesome performance by him in the film, and really enjoyed it. Definitely worth watching if you like Michael Keaton. Next up on the awesome acting roster in this film is none other than an awesome comedian, actor. He's great at everything he does. He's just a really awesome actor. I loved him in the TV series Taxi. I love him in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's just a really awesome comedian. And that, of course, is Mr. Danny DeVito. Now, Danny DeVito, you might recognize from like the two shows I mentioned. He's been in a slew of films over the years. He was in Matilda. He's been in, all kinds of different films over the years. Renaissance Man, etc., etc. But a couple of films I really enjoyed him and thought he was fantastic in was none other than an awesome film that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger that came out in 1988. And that, of course, is the awesome comedy action film Twins. Oh, yeah. This is such an awesome film. So fun, so hilarious. Lots of great action, great performances by both. Love how they worked off each other in the film. And Danny was just so awesome in the film. He just cracked me up through the whole film and just how he reacted to Arnold and everything Arnold said and just kind of how he always bounced off him and, had these great quips and great quotes. And it was just a really well done role by Danny, and it just made me, basically fall in love with his acting because he was just so stinking funny in the film. Really enjoyed his performance in that film, and it's definitely, if you haven't seen that film of Danny, you should definitely check it out. It's worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of Danny DeVito. Now, the second film that I really enjoyed is another one that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. They came out a few years later, and it's just a really awesome, another just comedy film that just cracks me up every time I watch it. I love this film, directed by Ivan Reitman, and just, it's such a fun film. And that, of course, is the awesome film Junior. Oh, yeah. So this time around, Arnold and Danny are colleagues, they're doctors, and Arnold Schwarzenegger basically becomes the very first man to basically have a baby grow inside of him, basically, because they make this drug that allows men to be able to experience pregnancy. And Danny DeVito, like I said, plays his colleague, and he's just absolutely hilarious throughout the whole film, just everything, and how he's like doting on him like a husband to be, or a dad to be, and stuff like that, and just how he's like trying to keep the secret from everyone, and like is trying to make lots of money off of this, and he just was so fantastic in the film. I absolutely loved him in it. Another film that really made me fall in love with his acting and just him, because he's just so stinking funny. Really great performance by Danny in that film too as well, and just a really fun film too, and very well directed by Ivan. If you haven't seen Junior either, definitely check it out, people. It's worth a watch. Really fun, really enjoyable, and a great performance by Danny. Now, it comes to his character as the ringmaster in Dumbo. I absolutely enjoyed it. Thought he was so great, so fun. I really enjoyed his performance in the film. I loved how caring and how much of a heart he had in the film. And I just really enjoyed his interaction with everyone, and how, he wanted to keep this, this carnival basically as a family thing. Everyone that was a part of the carnival was family, and I really enjoyed that aspect of how Danny DeVito brought that to life, being kind of like the leader and being this like cool ringmaster and stuff like that. It was really fun to see in the film, really enjoyable, and I couldn't see the movie without him. He was just really fantastic for the film, and great performance by him too as well. Really well done. So to round out this awesome cast, we have none other than an actress in this film that is kind of one of the lead actresses. She's part of Michael Keaton's entourage in the film. She kind of starts out as kind of a bad guy, but ends up becoming a good guy type of character. And she's just a really fun actress. She was in Penny Dreadful. She was in the film Dreamers that came out in the early 2000s. She's been around, done quite a few films. Not too bad of an actress, and pretty interesting to watch. And that, of course, is the awesome actress known as Miss Ava Green. Oh yeah, Ava Green. So I know a lot of people think she's so attractive, and she's not too bad looking, but I think she's definitely more of an actress than she is in her looks. Most definitely, she does a pretty decent job. Definitely in Penny Dreadful, she really showed how good of an actress she was, and I felt that she was a pretty decent choice to pick for the movie. Now, a couple films I really enjoyed that she was in that I thought she was pretty decent in is none other than a great film that came out a few years ago that is a sequel to the 2000 film starring Gerard Butler called 300. And that, of course, is the awesome sequel, 300, Rise of the Empire. Oh, yeah. So this awesome sequel, unfortunately, was not directed by the original director, but still was a great and awesome sequel. That gave us a little bit more idea of what Spartan did. That 300 that basically fought off the Persians in the first film, kind of like where they went after the events of 300 happened. And Ava Green plays one of the main characters in the film that's on the opposing line in the Persian army, and she was really awesome as that bad guy. She was really seductive and vindictive, and she just was a really great villain, and I really enjoyed seeing her play that character. And it was really interesting to see her interaction with everyone in the film and how ruthless she was. I just thought she did a really fantastic job in that film and just made a really great bad guy character and gave us something new and interesting in that sequel. The second film that Miss Ava Green was in that she was really awesome in was an awesome Daniel Craig film that came out in 2006 and was a remake of a James Bond film from the 60s. And that, of course, is the film Casino Royale. Oh, yeah. So Casino Royale, like I said, is a remake of an original James Bond film from the 60s, this time starring Daniel Craig as 007. This is actually supposed to be before he actually becomes 007, while he's in the agency, kind of in his infancy of being an agent and how he kind of grows to become 007. And Ava Green plays the love interest in the film, and I thought that she was really fun. She ends up being, if you haven't seen the film, sorry, spoiler, she ends up being actually kind of like a bad guy / kind of good guy, and basically her undoing, to her character, unfortunately, is her own self. But at the same time, she was really great as the character, and I really enjoyed her in the film. I really liked how she played both fields, how she was very convincing of portraying both characters, being good and being bad at the same time, and kind of like having her own agenda. And I thought she was a really great antagonist in the film, and a really great kind of heroine / love interest in the film. I thought they worked really well together, too, in the film, and I thought she did a really decent performance. Really enjoyed her. If you haven't seen Casino Royale, definitely check it out, people, especially if you're a Daniel Craig fan. It's a really fun film, really well done, and Ava was really fantastic in the film. Now, it comes to her performance in the film, I thought she was really good. Really enjoyed her. I thought she had a great presence. I love how her character grew throughout the film, how she started out and how she ends. And I thought that she did a really fantastic job. I thought that she was a good choice and really brought to life her character that she was portraying. And just a really simple and fun film that was a great addition to that already great film. Really good performance and really enjoyable. Really enjoyed her in it. Thought it was definitely a decent performance and definitely something that was a little different for her, and definitely nice to see her in another type of kind of family-friendly film. Very interesting to see her in it, and was a pretty decent film and performance. So if you're not familiar with what Dumbo is about, basically the premise of this Dumbo is this traveling circus basically is trying to get itself back up on the market and for people to want to come and enjoy it and to keep these people employed that are a part of the circus. So the ringmaster or leader basically character, buys this elephant that is supposed to make everything awesome and magical and bring back the consumers that want to come and see the shows. And basically what ends up happening, he ends up getting a birth from the elephant who is Dumbo, who ends up becoming a flying elephant act and a part of the clown service. in the film. And basically, it's about Dumbo and how he's trying to get back to his mother after she is taken away from him, so that they can be happy and live together again somewhere in nature. And that's pretty much what the story is about, him getting back with his mother. So really great storytelling of the original classic. Like I said, really fun. The CGI working I thought was really fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed just the writing, the music score in the film, and just a really well done film. Really enjoyed it. I love the aesthetic of the film too, especially because it's supposed to be back during the early 1900s, and I thought that was really cool too. And just a really interesting film. If you do get a chance, definitely go check it out in theaters now, people. It's worth the watch. Really fun and a really enjoyable film, and definitely I think a win for Disney. They did a really decent job and made a fun film. So that's it for this movie review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And also, thank you for subscribing. If it's your first time here, if you've been here before and you haven't hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for, people? You got an invitation? Come on, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video and the awesome videos I put up. And as always, people, keep your eyes out for any older, newer videos you might not have seen yet. And as always, people, check out the awesome Stardust app, where you can watch 3 to 30-second little mini reviews of TV shows, movies, trailers, anything your heart desires, with awesome new content always being added, contests, and cool polls. So that's something interesting. You can download it for free through your respective Play Store. Look for me under the Cybernetic 13. Follow me, and I'll follow you back. And as always, people, catch you in the next one.